We are back on a Thursday night, late night special, after show special. Good to see everybody back with us tonight. Chris McDonald. And we're so grateful to have had Sheriff Richard Mack with us earlier tonight. What a great patriot. And we got another great patriot on the phone with us tonight. And this is Jeemes Akers, my dear buddy. And always a pleasure to talk to him. Good to see you tonight. Glad you stayed up. I dozed off Tuesday night. We were going to do this Tuesday night, and I dozed off. And I have to ask you one question, and I'm trying to keep the internet rumors at a minimum. That it was you that posed for that picture on Cracker Barrel that they removed tonight, and they put just a regular logo on. Was that you, the old man on the barrel? Was that you that we in your younger days, and they did a portrait of you? I thought you'd get that and find that amusing.
Jeemes Akers, everybody. Good to see you tonight. How are you? I I am fine, Chris. It sounds like you are in good form and fashion tonight.
I am. Well, after falling asleep on my own show Tuesday night, I would have. I made the mistake of going in there and sitting down, and I just had a long trip home Monday, and I didn't realize how tired I was. And sometimes when you close your eyes and say I'll open them back up in a few minutes, and I opened them back up, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. And I said I ain't going on tonight. I'm sorry. But anyway, it is good to see you tonight, buddy, and so much to talk about. I do want to tell the audience we got some videos coming up afterwards, folks, some Q&A. We're going to be with you a while tonight. This is a late night show. Better than Kimmel, better than Fallon, certainly better than Colbert, better than all of them combined. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight, and the kids are gone to bed so we can be adults in the house. Buddy, I want to get your take, first of all, several things I want to talk with you about, but the first one has really, we've not really had anybody internationally with any kind of insight to this, and I really want to get your take on the Russia-Ukraine thing. I know that we have talked about this so often. We've had this meeting with Putin. Zelensky showed up Monday and Tuesday with the European leaders, and I've had a mixed reaction to that from different people. There are some people who believed it was a good idea to bring the European leaders over. Others said it was not. I believe Trump is trying, James. I got to give him credit for trying. I mean, he's not dealing with fair brokers, but he's trying to get this thing stopped. He does not like war. He does not like the killing. From your perspective, was this a win for him this week? Do you believe there's any fruit that's going to come of it, or do you think that we're just on a treadmill and we're just all three parties are played for the camera? And I hate to say that, but I mean it's a question that needs to be asked.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great question, and we talked about it a few days ago. And my point then, going into the meeting, that as skilled as Trump is at making the deal, he just had no leverage in this one.
Right.
And so I think he probably did as best as he could. And you have everything now is optics. There's obviously no agreement, and so you got to give the guy credit for trying. I think he was trying to be to end all of this useless bloodshed, and the parties aren't ready to come to the table. They're not willing to give an inch on either side. And there was this trial balloon floated about Ukraine ceding some of its territory in the east, and this, that, and the other. And then, of course, Putin doesn't make his case any better when he hits like an American factory today.
I saw that.
And so, before, my prediction was that next year at this time we'll be talking about the same thing, and I'm just afraid that's going to be true.
I want to ask you, to piggyback off something you said, why do they not want to end this, James? What benefit is it? What benefit is it for Putin to carry this out? What benefit is it for Zelensky to carry this out? Other than blackmailing Europe and extorting money from America, and Trump's basically told Zelensky, we're not sending you money. We'll send you planes if we need to, but we're not sending you money. And we're not sending you boots on the ground. What does it benefit either side to continue this war going, in your opinion?
Well, I think when it comes to the Ukraine and Russia, when it comes to even, Chris, politics in our own country, we've gotten ourselves into this all or nothing sort of mindset. and so to take a step backward means that you surrender, and there's no effort to reach a common ground, anywhere you look. I mean, from Asia to the Ukraine, there's no urgency to end this thing. And it doesn't matter how many millions of lives are sacrificed. It's a matter of prestige, and they're not going to back up a step. Russia believes it has the upper hand, and it is going with a tried and true military policy and strategy that has worked for it in one war after another, except for World War I, which I like to write a lot about. And they just, they're just going to inch forward, grind it out, one life after another, and and we're past the point. I think. I hope not, but I think we are. Back in '79, when the Russians were taking such a terrible toll in Afghanistan, it wasn't any sort of common sense that brought the Russian leaders to the table. It was an absolute revolt by mothers who refused to let their boys be mercilessly slaughtered for what they could perceive as no gain whatsoever. And Russia, for better or for worse, and this is my opinion, and there could be some Russian experts out there that would argue vehemently with me, but they have not reached that critical turning point where the mothers are going to go into the streets and start protesting. And until that happens in Russia, you're going to see more of the same. It doesn't matter how bad their economy gets. It doesn't matter how many millions of men they lose. Right. Doesn't matter how many tanks they lose. Doesn't matter how many aircraft they lose. Until, this is Jeemes Akers' reading of it, until the mothers of Russia turn into the streets, you're not going to see any change.
Yeah. Well, I tend to agree with you, buddy, and it's sad that we've reached this point. Are you, what I'm hearing from you, then you're not as optimistic that a bilateral or even trilateral meeting will make a difference in this?
No. My sense is, and I've seen nothing in recent days to change it, is that in our program next year at this very same time, we're going to be talking about millions of casualties that have taken place since the Russian invasion started.
Do you agree with the media's take that Putin played Trump because they're trying to play it out that Trump was naive and meeting him? I don't feel that way, because if he was naive meeting Putin, then he was naive bringing Zelensky, and I don't believe either's true. I think Trump was sincere in trying to get two knuckleheads together who need to have the devil shook out of both of them. And because that's where I think all this is coming from, James. This is a spiritual thing to me. I think that both men are so full of the devil. They are bent because their father is bent on death, destruction, war. He feeds on it. I think the elites feed on it. I think the people in Europe, I firmly believe there are world leaders that were in our country Tuesday that were not there to broker peace. They were secretly rooting for Putin and Zelensky to keep fighting, and they still are tonight. But do you feel like that Trump was played in any way? I feel like he handled everything as good as a president could handle it. He's trying to get this fixed. Am I right on that?
I think, we used to, at the agency, those people that looked at world leaders and the like, there's an assumption we have in the West that foreign leaders will respond to what we call a reasonable man theory.
Right.
That they will make decisions that make sense and for the welfare of their people and their country. And I've just seen us sort of the world events and world leaders sort of drift from that line. We're not talking about reasonable men that are in charge of the decision making in Russia and Ukraine. And I think Trump, a real estate magnate who could always appeal to some sort of common sense and money, determining a decision. It just made an appeal to both of these leaders with common sense that they would do the right thing. And they're not ready to do that yet. They're not ready to come to the table and do the right thing. And so what does an American president do in that circumstance? Now the media, the left-leaning media, who, if Trump would have brought back a peace deal, they would have found something to quibble about over it. Yeah. But because they hate Trump so much. But has Putin played a very poor hand for much over a decade and played American presidents like a fiddle? Yeah.
All the time. He played Bush the same way. Absolutely. I don't see where any of these presidents have gotten anywhere with him, Jeemes. Obama sure didn't. Clinton sure didn't. Bush Jr. sure didn't. And Donald Trump is the only one that reined him in. And look, and Putin as good as admitted in that press conference that he would not have done what he did had President Trump been in power in 22. And, he was very cordial. I'm trying to put my head around all this, and I want to move on to something else, because ultimately, the way I look at it, if these two want to kill each other and kill their countries, then it ain't much me and Jeemes Akers can do, other than talk about it. President Trump can't stop it either. He's trying, but, of the two leaders, and this is where my naivety may come in, I actually trust Putin more than I do Zelensky, because I feel like Zelensky blackmailed this country and extorted this country for billions, possibly trillions of dollars during that time of Biden. And he was the one that basically sold Trump out at the end of his first term, led to the impeachment, when he was hiding for the Biden's corruption in Burisma, both the son and the daddy. And I have no respect for Zelensky. I just don't. I know the world lauds him as a savior. They laud him as a warrior. They laud him as this brave person that stood up to Russian aggression. Well, I believe that our country was partially responsible for what happened in the fact that we put NATO in Putin's backyard, or threatened that. And, being the KGB thug that he is, he was going to do exactly what he did. I don't think Trump would have allowed that. I think he would have stopped that. But that's just my opinion. I don't like either one of them. I'm not trying to say that Putin is the choir boy here either. Trust me, I'm not naive to believe I can trust him either. I will say this about Putin, and we'll move on. It seems to me that he's trying to keep his country from moral rot. He is trying to keep his country free of these elites, and perhaps maybe there's a vendetta that we're not being privy to. Maybe there's something personal. Maybe there's something more sinister behind this attack on the Ukraine. Only God knows that. But That's just my take, and I'll let you take about 2 minutes, and I'm going to move on to some other things that are just as important tonight. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on the Ukrainian leadership is that it has been corrupt for years, and you now have a comedian / clown that has become a politician.
Oh, yeah.
And the rest of Europe is trying to dress him in a gown of respectability, and the man doesn't deserve it. But that's my view.
No, I think we're together on that.
My view on Putin is that whenever you in Russian history has a long, storied tradition of absolute rulers. And Putin is only the latest in a long line of those people. He cannot step backward. He loses everything if he does. And so you have these two people locked in a position where they're not going to make decisions that are good for the welfare of their country, much less the welfare of Europe. And we're locked into those two leaders being in control right now.
Totally agree, buddy. Totally agree. Since I've talked to you last, I think the last time we spoke, Trump had threatened to bring the National Guard in, and he actually did it this week. And in 7 days, James, there's been no homicides, none, in Washington, D.C. Robberies are down 21%, violent crime down 22%, robberies are down 46% actually, murders are down 30%, assaults are down another 40-50%. The crime stats are staggering now that the federal government, the National Guard, is patrolling the streets of D.C. and not letting these thugs run wild. He said today, Trump did, and I really respect him for what he did. He went out, bought pieces for the National Guardsmen, shook their hand. He actually went out on patrol with them tonight, and somebody put a picture up of him in a police outfit. I thought it was cute. But how do you feel about this National Guard? I know they can only do it for 30 days without congressional approval, but it sure has worked this first week, buddy. And I think that these cities in America need to take note that while Trump cannot send federal guard troops to the cities just on a whim, he can send them to protect federal buildings if he feels they're deemed a threat. And I think that these sheriffs and these police officers and these mayors and these governors had better take note. There's a new sheriff in town, literally, and that this lawlessness is not going to be tolerated in this. And he basically said that today. He said, "I am not playing around." He said Washington, D.C. is going to be safe, and he said our cities are going to be safe, one way or the other. And one thing about Trump, like him, hate him, or whatever, he does what he says and says what he does. Correct?
If you would have taken anybody else that would have reduced the crime figures in Washington, D.C., and there are parts of Washington, D.C. I lived there for 20 years outside Washington, D.C., and there are parts of Washington, D.C. that resemble a Civil War battlefield more than they do civilization.
Oh, without doubt.
And you take your life in your own hands. If the left media, if anybody else would have done this, would have reduced the crime this much, they would have automatically pushed those people for sainthood, But the problem is here, it's Trump that's doing it. And there's a second problem, and it's the one you alluded to. Americans do not like to see, it's fine if their National Guard comes in and helps out in emergency situations like tornadoes, floods, and this, that, and the other. But when it comes to them patrolling streets and knocking heads, Americans don't like to see that. And so Trump has a very short leash in using this tool in his toolkit. It seems to me, and he needs to accomplish what he's going to accomplish in a short period of time, make a show of things, and then send the National Guard back home.
I'll agree with that.
I think Americans will give him little bit of leeway because Washington has become such a cesspool of crime.
Yeah.
And it's our capital, and it shouldn't be that way. And they'll give him a little bit of leeway, and they'll tolerate it for a time. But even from the right, I think if it lasts too long. So how long is too long? Man, that is the magic trick. That middle road that Trump has to find in this whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I thought what he did today was a typical Trump. The cameras are rolling. He's working the crowd with a microphone.
Yes.
Being as charming, there are just times when Trump can just charm your socks off, and he showed that side of his personality today, and it was just the right touch for this stage of that whole operation. What I'm saying is, I don't think he can parlay this into a long-term thing.
Okay. I am with you on that, but I do want to ask you this. I know we can't parlay it into a long-term thing, but but think about this. If he turns the reins over back to the police in D.C., okay, he turns it back over to that Democrat mayor. He turns it back over to these left-leaning loon bombs that are in the D.C. because it's a federal. We had a guest on earlier tonight, and he said that he basically believes that Trump has the federal authority. He controls D.C. He's the CEO of Washington, D.C. as a president under the Constitution. But what happens, Jeemes, if he turns this city back over to the police and the crime explodes? What do we do from there? Does he send the National Guard back in again? And at some point, did the Democrats not pay a price for this in the ballot box? Because it's going to be evident that Trump's way was right. Because, look, the figures speak for themselves. To not have any homicides in Washington, D.C. reported in 7 days, man, that's biblical stuff to me, is it not?
It is, but I lived in Washington, D.C. with Barry, who was caught on tape by the FBI, put in jail, and the people of Washington, D.C. still voted him as mayor of Washington, D.C.
I remember Marion Barry, yes.
And so you have, we have in this country, we have just become devoid of common sense in certain areas. So to go to your point, let's say this thing, Trump and his advisors figure we've got maybe 4 to 5 weeks at the most to show noticeable improvement in Washington that any reasonable person would say they did a good job. The cities are cleaned up, and then he pulls them back out. And you have then everybody, all of these thugs and other criminals and the like that are now burying their head underground and keeping quiet for the moment. They come back to life. The mayor takes a photo op. The police are put back in charge under the Washington City Council and this, that, and the other. And Trump is wagering that surely reasonable people around the country will see what a democratic machine that runs the big state, the federal city of Washington, D.C., is going to look like, and it's going to rebound to his favor and the Republican Party favor at the polls.
I'll agree.
I think that's the huge gamble he's running with this whole thing. But my point is, you had your guest that said he can do this with any federal building in any city. My opinion is that Washington, D.C., the district, is a unique animal.
Yes, it is.
In terms of its governance and federal authorities. And what will work in Washington, D.C., I'm not sure it's going to work in Los Angeles or San Francisco or Portland or St. Louis or any place else. It is only if this is successful enough and there are not enough downsides that everything's an upside, that people see it, recognize it in the polls, and start voting out these people that have sucked the lifeblood out of the citizens of these cities.
Without a doubt, buddy. Without a doubt. Listen, I want to get your take, and I agree with everything you said there. And again, we'll just wait and see what happens. But I am proud that this has worked, and I think that he showed us that if you enforce the law and you make people aware that you're not going to do this without penalty, people will stop breaking the law. And I think that that's a good thing, and it's been a good thing for D.C. this week. I want to turn to your city because I saw a very disturbing report, and I'm going to let you tell us what you know about it. I understand that the powers that be in Cincinnati did not, they have now pressed charges against the man, the victim, the one that got beat mercilessly by the 7 thugs in Cincinnati a few weeks ago. I think they're charging him with harassment, I believe is what I understand. I don't get all the details. I'm trying to sort this out, but I'm just curious if you can give us an update on that tonight. I know you said you'd heard. Do you have any other news, anything that you've heard from the local papers, the local media about this? Because that's a shocker to me, James. I never believed they would do that. I heard rumors they would think about doing that, but that is pathetic. Is it not pathetic that they are arresting the guy that got beat up?
It is for inciting a riot.
Inciting a riot.
It's just a tragedy all the way around. But what I am getting is that there's a huge difference. A city prosecutor basically went out on his or her own. I'm not really sure who holds that office, but went against what the police had advised. The police had advised not filing a charge against this guy, but now you know you have. I mean, everybody wants to run away from this, but you have racial politics, you know, that come into play, and these people are appealing to a segment of the population that they think they can get a lot of votes from. And so they're looking for scapegoats, and this fella, and I'm not defending this fella. He was probably, drunk down there, and probably did say the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time. But he didn't deserve the beating that he got, and he certainly you cannot lay everything that was done that evening at his foot.
No, and I was about to say, because you certainly can't, you mentioned them not beating him, but I wasn't there, but we Southerners, we just look at things through common sense, and not even being there, James, I do not believe that the perpetrators did not incite a riot too, because you know good and well that they just didn't sit there and say, have a good day, sir, and Jesus loves you, and come to church with us on Sunday. After he said that, they probably started threatening him, and the poor woman that they almost killed, all she was trying to do was protect him. And that did not give them the right to do what they did. And I mean, I don't care what the guy did. I mean, look, we're adults. It's not like we were in a playground at fifth ground and somebody hurts your feelings and you throw sand in their face or something. For God's sake, we're adults. It don't give you a right to do this. And I'm with you on that. But why don't they charge the blacks involved in this with inciting a riot? Because to me, they both were guilty, if that's the case. And I wasn't even there.
Yeah, they have arrested several of the people that were involved, and so the bottom line to all of this is that decades ago, or maybe a decade and a half ago, that there were some terrible race riots in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Right.
And the police made a concerted effort, many years retraining, and a lot of ideas were put into it. A lot of money was put into it to become more respected guardians of the city, and went out of their way to show that they weren't racially bigoted and all of those sorts of things, which is a good thing, in my view. But you have in our country, I don't care whether it's Cincinnati or Los Angeles or wherever, you have a certain mob mentality that spirit, once it gets into a bunch of people, and especially if it's fueled by alcohol, you have all of these situations that come up where people just don't use common sense in other circumstances where they would, and I remember. Years ago, Lou Holtz. You remember Lou Holtz?
I remember Lou.
Arkansas coach. I may have told your listeners this once before, but Lou Holtz. There were two ball players that got caught in a bar in a fight at 3:00 in the morning. And they were trying, and so there were some of the media that asked Lou Holtz about it and said, these guys were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Lou Holtz said, being in a bar at 3:00 in the morning is always the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And I think that logic can be applied here. There is a complete absence of decorum in this country and common sense behavior. There are certainly no consequences for wrongdoing virtually anywhere in this country, and I'm talking about from education right on up. And we're paying the price for that. And Cincinnati paid the price for it a few days ago, and I'm not sure they'll ever be able to sort it out and keep alive the fiction that we are a city that is above any sort of racial bigotry, and so that's what they're wrestling with.
Other story that I want to get your take on tonight, boy, this is a biggie. Of course, I don't know how this is all going to play out. I think that it was a win for President Trump, but I didn't think they went far enough. But the New York Appeals Court today, James, threw out this massive civil fraud penalty against Trump on this Letitia James case, that he had been ordered to pay a $355 million fine, and it barred him from serving as an officer of any New York corporation or any other legal entity for a period of 3 years. They basically sandbagged the whole case tonight and said it was excessive. It was against his Eighth Amendment rights. Ironically, Letitia James, who was the head honcho, is under investigation for the exact same thing of falsifying loan documents that she claimed Trump did, which was a sham. It was just an absolute sham. And this Ederon judge, he should be in jail with Letitia James tonight. I find this so rich that this has come to this point. But do you believe that she is facing some legal jeopardy over this tonight? Because I think she got slapped down by this court. This decision was not written with any kind of tone, but she's basically a political hack as an attorney general. And if the people of New York have any kind of character, any kind of resemblance of right, they're going to get rid of her. If Kathy Hochul has any semblance of right, she should be fired tonight.
Well, the problem, I like to sort of step way out and take like a look at things from a 60,000 foot viewpoint. The broader problem is for the judiciary, especially for the federal judiciary, that all of these recent appointees, and many of them really stray so far left that they defy common sense in their decisions, is reaching the point where it's making a mockery of the judicial system in the United States. Another case in point. They were trying to open Alcatraz. A federal judge tonight says that Trump has 60 to 90 days to end that whole program, and that it can't be opened. And so that's going to be another case that makes its way up the ladder. And so one of the things that separates our society from a number of authoritarian governments and other governments around the world is that up to recently we had confidence in the rule of law. It may have been a hangover from the Perry Mason days, but we had confidence that there would be some sort of standard of fairness applied, that a court and its judges would be neutral no matter who they voted for in the ballot box, and they would use previous precedent in terms of making decisions. If you look at the latest polls, that confidence is eroding rapidly. There's the people no longer have the confidence that the Supreme Court can make a decision that isn't just a political backbiting contest on every important issue. And it shouldn't be that way. And there are lovers of law and the system of law on both sides of the aisle that see this as a train wreck. That is one of the many things that will destroy this country. And there are some people trying to level all of that out, and I applaud them in those efforts. Otherwise, if we have no confidence that individuals can get a fair hearing before a court in this country, then our whole system is in peril.
I totally agree, buddy. I'm with you. And it's James. We've been talking. For several months and almost going on a year now, a year and a half. It always comes back to the rule of law. When we talk about these things, it all comes back down to what you just stated, how our foundations of law are being eroded. Our foundations of government are being eroded. People are losing faith in the government. They're losing faith in the legal system. They're losing faith in church. They're losing faith in God. They're losing faith in everything. And at some point, if the foundations be destroyed, what will the righteous do, buddy? I mean, you got to have faith in the foundational things of this nation. We're going to be 250 years old next year. And look, I'm excited for President Trump being in power. It's certainly better than the nightmare we would have been facing tonight. This conversation would have been a lot different had it been Kamala Harris. But this lawfare keeps going, and at some point, somebody has got to pay for what they're doing. And, Letitia James tonight, late, has filed an appeal. I don't know where she's going to appeal that to, probably to the New York Supreme Court. I still believe it's going to wind up with the federal Supreme Court. But this federal Supreme Court, James, is really the last bastion. It's sort of like that wall that's standing in front of a dam of lawlessness. And we had better be praying for these Supreme Court justices to make the right decision on these cases, my friend, because I'm going to tell you something. I don't know where it goes if they rule on the side of this lawless bunch. I mean, we're screwed in this country. I'm not so sure we ain't already there.
Yeah, and it follows a pattern. I know people don't like to even talk about these things, but ancient Israel went through the same pattern.
They did.
When God become just the most discouraged with the people he had favored and had blessed above any other people on earth. One of the signs of that was when their judges became so hopelessly corrupt and were an absolute disgrace to God. And we're seeing that now. And again, let me helicopter up to 60,000 feet. We are now facing an age when machines and AI are starting to intervene in every aspect of our life in a major way. Up to now, American rules of law and sort of an American approach to things, a Western approach to things, based on a certain moral code, have determined the development of AI and have sort of dictated the extent to which machines on the battlefield can start killing people without an American in the decision-making loop. China is making tremendous inroads, and I wrote a missive now 3 or 4 years ago when a lot of these conferences were starting to talk about a point in the future when there would be sort of a hive mind and a great brain. And I asked the question, will that great brain think like a Westerner, or will it think in Chinese terms? And if you look far enough over the horizon, the difference in those systems is going to be the telling point of decision. And we are surrendering the ground because we no longer hold individuals accountable. We know our judiciary system has become a farce. Now, even in federal circuit courts and the highest federal levels, you have people that shop the courts to get the decision that they want, and we are surrendering the rule of law that made us different, and we are going to rue the day. We won't. I'm going to be long in the grave, but should the Lord tarry, we are going to rue the day when we have abandoned the rule of law in this country.
So true. Well said, buddy. It's well said. Man, I could keep you another hour, but it's getting late and getting close to midnight. I'm going to let you go. But listen, I'll have you back on next week. And thank you for being with us up late tonight. I really appreciate it. And we got to keep looking up, keep our prayer lights on, and bended knee and hearts to God. And we're in the end times. Jesus is coming. And I believe that all that is applied to this tonight, because he's the only one that can fix this, James. He is the only one that can fix this mess that this world and this country's in. And I think you'll agree with that as you wrap us up.
I agree and give that a hearty amen. And I write a lot about these things, and let me put a shameless plug in here. You can go to my website, JeemesAkers.com, and there will be artwork there. There will be missives there, and the missives are really where I address these sorts of issues from a variety of perspectives. And if any of your the listeners are interested, I encourage them to do that. But my same line that I end with is that God is not shaking on his throne with all of these developments.
No, he's not.
He has the situation in hand. He sees the beginning from the end. He has made a way for individuals to become more like him, only one way, through his son Jesus Christ. And so those that have fear or undue concerns need to rest in the arms of Jesus tonight and every night. And so that's what I end with.
Beautifully said, man. Beautifully said. Couldn't have said it better. Appreciate you. Get some rest, and I'll see you next week. We'll see you in that Reds game soon, too, okay? God bless, friend.
Sounds good. Thanks for the opportunity, Chris.
Always,
Bye-bye.
my friend. Good night. Jeemes Akers, everybody. Good to hear from him, and grateful to see everybody in the house tonight, and grateful for him. I want to thank Cleo. She was here earlier tonight, and I thought I said something about her, but just in case I didn't, she's not been feeling good. And she was in our audience earlier tonight, and I know she's out there tonight listening and helping when she can. And I appreciate her. Please pray for her family. Jeemes Akers, always pray for him. He's a good man, and we appreciate James so much. Now, I'm going to do a little video with you tonight. I'm going to come back over here, and Richard, of course, was our guest earlier tonight, and I'm going to come back. This is our sort of our stage when we have a guest. And your guest tonight is me. This is a late night McFile after show. So I'm going to put my camera up here, and we're going to play a few videos. And then if you got any questions, you can ask in a minute. We'll just give me about another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to have you out of here by 12:30. It may be 12:30 Pacific time, but we're going to get you out of here by 12:30 tonight. Giving you money's worth tonight, but I do want to play a couple of videos and talk about a few things. This is something that happened. I don't know if you heard about this. This is absolutely hideous. This lady in Virginia, she was a school board member, and she was passing out awards to kids, and she basically give a mega conservative kid an award most likely to become a dictator. It was a slap at the mega community, but this is the clip I want to show you. This is Dr. Gina Loudon posted this, and then there's another one that was posted by David Harris. I'm going to do David Harrison's, but I want you to listen to this, folks. This is Virginia County, Virginia tonight. This is why I would not have my kid in public school. Roll the tape.
My son, 6 years old, was prohibited from sitting next to his friend on the school bus because a parent objected to my perspectives on book challenges. My older son's history teacher allowed students to label him a Nazi file simply for his interest in history and participation in ROTC. She later nominated my son as the most likely to become a dictator and had his classmates vote on it and try to force him to the front of the class to receive the certificate, which he rightly refused, all because of his conservative values and our perspectives.
Thank you. James.
Let me play that again. Some of you probably didn't quite catch what she said. This kid was called this simply because he wanted to be part of the ROTC and he enjoyed studying history. So this teacher put a certificate up. The parent showed you, that was his mom, by the way, that named him most likely to become a dictator, and he wouldn't go up there and receive it. That teacher needs to be fired immediately tonight. Not put on leave, She needs to be fired. Roll tape. One more
My
time.
son, 6 years old, was prohibited from
6.
sitting next to his friend on the school
6.
bus because a parent objected to my perspectives on book challenges. My older son's history teacher allowed students to label him a Nazi file simply for his interest in history and participation in ROTC. She later nominated my son as the most likely to become a dictator and had his classmates vote on it and try to force him to the front of the class to receive the certificate, which he rightly refused, all because of his conservative values and our perspectives.
Thank you.
All because of conservative values and perspective. You gotta love it. That's our school system. This is, let me see here. I want to play a couple more of these tonight. I'm going to get, the person that retracted your comments, you didn't have to. We were going to read them here in a minute. This is, who is this right here? This is, some of them are not videos. This is Megan Kelly. This is her talking about J.D. Vance's comments about the possibility of the prosecution of Barack Obama. Roll the tape.
I'm going to tee it up with this soundbite from the vice president who gave an interview to the Gateway Pundit and said as follows, SOT 15.
Well, I think the only thing the far left really responds to is power. The thing that they're actually going to be responsive to is the recognition that there are consequences on the other side. If they get off scot-free, if they're never investigated, if they're never prosecuted when they violated the law, then they're just going to come back and do the exact same thing again. And there are a few different ways, of course. So it's the big tech companies that were censoring conservatives. They've got to know that's not going to be allowed, and there are going to be consequences for it. The banks, the president is really preoccupied with this, and rightfully so. And of course, you've got to pay the lawfare back in kind. You've got to say to the Comeys and the Brennans of the world, of course, you got to follow the law. You can only prosecute people when they actually broke the law, but we know that a lot of people broke the law in the last administration, and they've got to face real justice, not just words, not just getting hauled before a committee in Capitol Hill. If people broke the law, they have to actually be prosecuted for it, because I think that if they do that, if they know that the consequence for breaking the law is go to jail, then the next generation of Democrats, they're not going to try the same thing.
There it is in that last line.
There it is. There it is. That is correct. I like J.D. Vance. I think I would vote for him as the second to be the 48th president of the United States. Put some fire in that house if you agree with that. Here is Chris Pratt, one of the few out in Hollywood that I can even stomach. But he's got a message for the Trump haters. Roll the tape.
In politics, you inherit enemies, and when you jump on the bandwagon with who is the most divisive president ever, it makes sense that you're going to be made to look terrible, and so I don't know what to believe, because it's not like I sit with Bobby and I go, so hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about. It's like we're just playing cards or playing Mafia or having fun or having dinner. I'm not going to pick his brain to find out exactly which of those things are true. I just kind of assume that none of them are, and for the most part, I wish him well, man. I hope there's certain things that he overseas that seem to be supported in a bipartisan way, like getting terrible toxic stuff out of our kids' food. I think that's a great thing. And so if you do that, that's amazing. I'd hate to be so mired in hatred for the president that any success from his administration is something I'd have an allergic reaction to. To be like, oh, well, if they do it, I don't want it to happen. I'll put Clorox in my children's cereal myself. It's like, come on, be reasonable here. There's certain things that would be a good thing to have. I want them all to be successful.
That's not going to happen. Wishful thinking. The left wouldn't care if Trump solved cancer. He would still be the devil. This is, we got a couple of, this is Caroline Leavitt. I just love her. I tell you, she is an absolute fantastic, the best press secretary we've ever had. She let the media have it this week about this Russia stuff. Roll tape.
President of Ukraine and all of the other major leaders of Europe fly across the Atlantic Ocean to meet President Trump at the White House because of the progress that was made, and that, if you ask the media, failed meeting, but it was not. It was highly productive and it was successful. This is why Americans' trust in the mass media is at a lowest point in more than 5 decades. Diplomacy is a delicate process, and instead of reporting the facts about what is happening here at this White House and what is happening between this president and other leaders around the world, many outlets in this room continue to try to actively undermine the president and sabotage the efforts towards peace. That is why I felt the need to set the record straight.
And she did. And she did. This is, what is this right here? Jasmine Crockett. Jazzy. She believes that keeping Washington Street safe is racist. I'll let her explain to this. This is too dumb for even me to explain. And that's setting a low bar for McDonald on a late night. But I'll let her explain why having the police there and no murders in 7 days is racist.
To me, all this stuff is connected. It's not, none of this is in isolation. Everyone has to pay attention. These dots need to be connected. You've got the National Guard being sent now, and you talk about what Republicans don't tell you. Those governors didn't tell you they're going to send them from Tennessee, South Carolina, send them from all of these other states into Washington, D.C. You work there. You spend a lot of your time there. Tell me what it's like in D.C. Tell me what you think this is really all about. And tell me if you think this is a preview of things to come, particularly, dare I say, around election, in the midterms and beyond.
Yeah, so it's very dystopian to see. It's funny because I used to watch like The Handmaid's Tale, and I can't, right? I never finished, and I can't watch it because it is too close to reality. And so what we're seeing is this militarization, and obviously it started in your state. That was kind of the testing grounds. Going to your state, going to a Black woman mayor's city first. And now we are in yet another Black woman-led city and taking over. And to me, it goes again to the level of racism and hate that is constantly spewed out of this administration. Now, they hate for you to call them what they are, but listen, I mean, if it walk like a duck, quack like a duck, then I guess it is a duck. So, like, racism is racism, and you are specifically targeting these Black-led areas.
Jasmine, let me say this. If it looks like a moron, talks like a moron, if it talks like a racist, by the way, you're speaking to the biggest moron in America, but if it looks like a moron, talks like a moron, talks like a racist, and smells like a racist, it's a racist. Your comments are racist, Jazzy. Your comments are the one that's racist, not Trump cleaning up D.C. And by the way, your Black mayor that you supposedly are thinking that Trump's targeting, look at the crime in these cities. And you know, if the shoe fits, wear it. If the shoe fits, wear it. I don't care what color of skin these mayors are. If they're not doing their job, it's not about the color of their skin. It's the color of their brain. It's the fact they don't have a brain. And it's the fact they're liberal. And they got the liberal mental disorder called liberalism. And they got people like you telling them. And by the way, Texan, all my Texas friends tonight, let me increase my screen to do this. I've been meaning to do this before I even started tonight. Let me get her off the screen. I got a few more things to say about her. But let me just say this. Let me get Carolyn off and Chris Pratt off. That's good. And there's Megan. Get her off there. Let me say this to the Texan legislator. You Republicans have finally found your soul and found something else. Let me tip my hat to the redistricting plan that you finally passed after playing footsies and playing Monopoly with this godless bunch of lawless Dems. Let me explain something to Jazzy that's also going to be racist, Jazzy, in your mind. You just got fired tonight because there's not a prayer in you know where that you get ever reelected. You hopefully never come within 1,000,000 miles of D.C. or leadership in this country ever again. And if you think that you're going to run for governor of Texas and the people of Texas are going to support you, ho, 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 don't make me choke. Folks, I'm going to say this tonight. It's late night. The kids are in bed. This is for the adults in the house, let me just say it like this. I am so pathetically sick. I am pathetically sick of this race card being played when we try to basically put people in a place that they're safe to walk to their mailboxes, to go to their cars, to go to church, to go to their jobs, to go downtown and enjoy a night with their family without them fearing they will not make it back home alive 3 blocks away. I'm tired of hearing the fact that when you want to make a city safe, that it's racist because the mayor is black. Let me make it abundantly clear tonight. It has nothing to do with her being black. It has everything to do with her being a lawless mayor. She supports the riots of Black Lives Matter. She supports Antifa. She supports the Muslim Brotherhood. She has been more than willing to let her city look like a third world dictatorship country. She's more than willing to let trash. I went up there in January for the Right to Life March. I had never seen, it had been 4.5 years since I'd been to D.C. I never went when Biden was in office. I couldn't even stomach it. And I went up there and I'd never seen a city so trashy to be the capital of the United States of America. It looked trashy. Who's responsible for that? Trump? Trump wasn't in office. Trump had just gotten back into office. And he started cleaning it up. So, Miss Mayor, let me play a little fiddle for Jasmine's comments. And Karen Bass, who's basically extorting money from the people of Palisades by keeping funds going to the fire victims out there. Somebody needs to be in jail for this stuff. It's not about the color of their skin, folks. It's about the color of their heart. I don't give 2-bit pins if they're red, black, yellow, green, purple, a mixture of colors. I don't care what they are. If you're not going to uphold the law, then let me tell you this. Let me give you a memo tonight. Trump's back in office. The law is about to be laid down. He's laying the law down. He is good as said it today. And I don't have the video downloaded tonight, but I wish I had a clip of that. In fact, if you let me, give me 1 minute, I'd like to download that if you'll just give me 1 second here. But Trump, this is him today talking about Letitia James, and I'm going to try to find the other one because he didn't mince no words about, there's a new sheriff in town. This is the Gateway Pundit article. Let me come over here to our newswire. I'm trying to find this because I want to play this for you. This is Trump today, but in this same press conference, this is on Letitia James. I'm going to find it while I'm playing this. He tells Washington, D.C., he tells the country, he tells you godless, lawless mayors and godless lawyer governors that are in sanctuary cities tonight, allowing these illegals to run wild and fighting ICE. And Governor Wu in Massachusetts, you're going to keep on, and you're going to wind up in federal prison. You're going to keep on doing this stuff, and you're going to wind up with an indictment for breaking the law. And I'm going to echo what Richard Mack said earlier tonight. If Pam Bondi, I could give 2 less pins about the Epstein files, but this right here, she will lose every bit of my respect if this don't get handled and she don't start standing up to these godless mayors and governors and people that are letting lawlessness run wild in their cities. I will lose all respect for her, and that will be her biggest failure to me. That will be a greater failure to me than anything she could do with those Epstein files. That was a story we were going to cover the other night. We covered that a few weeks ago. This is President Trump today about the Letitia James situation. I'll play this for you. Roll the tape.
If you can follow
after the ad. Hang on just a second.
You can follow this.
We don't want to hear the ad. Come on. One more ad. Hang on.
Number one biggest scam at the shooting range. They know your scope isn't zero.
And we're having a lot of victories. I had a victory today. You know, they stole $550 million from me with a fake case, and it was overturned. They said this was a fake case. It's a terrible thing, but that's a nice victory. You know, I mean, it's not bad. You know, we all have our limits, but this was a terrible thing that done. It was a witch hunt, and I've had more witch hunts than any human being, I think, in history. And here we are with the President of the United States, so it didn't work out too well for them, but Maybe now it's turned a little bit. These are very dishonest people. We have to fight. We have to win because we have to win. And you people are winners. And I just think it's such an honor to be with you. And we're going to make Washington, D.C. great again. We're making our country great again. The country is very close to being great. When they say it's the hottest country in the world, they mean it. And this capital is right now, after 4 days, 5 days, it's at a level that you haven't seen in a long time, and it's all because of you. So I want to thank you all very much. It's an honor to be with you, and we'll always be with you. We're going to be with you as long as I'm around. You're going to be treated as nobody more important, and thank you all very much for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's President Trump today, and I'm going to play this video here. I found it. This is him that was him talking about the situation with James. This is even better. This is President Trump, and we're grateful for the ad, but we don't need that now. This is President Trump today. He is going to tell you what he's putting Washington, D.C. on notice about this crime, folks. And I don't think he's just speaking to Washington, D.C. If you mayors and you governors and you sheriffs and you police officers are not going to do your job, and I'm not talking about the rank and file, I'm talking about the bureaucrats, he's going to do it for you. Now, you can cackle and whine and call him a dictator and call him Nazi Germany and call him Hitler and call him every name in the book. We voted for this. If you voted for this, say amen, somebody. Roll the tape.
Unsafe. We couldn't do it. We'd go out and you'd see the stories, you'd read the stories, you'd see all of the things that are happening. And they said we couldn't stand it, sir. Now I take my wife and my kids to dinner. One of them said he's gone out 4 nights in a row, and he hadn't gone out for 4 years. So it's a great tribute to you. And when I look at you people, I understand why, because there's no games, right? We're not playing games. We're going to make it safe. And we're going to then go on to other places. But we're going to stay here for a while. We want to make this absolutely perfect. It's our capital. And I guess it used to be many years ago safe, but it's certainly not had a very good run. And you got to be strong, you got to be tough, you got to do your job. Whatever it takes to do your job, you got to do your job. But the crime numbers are way down. I'm looking at
and the crime numbers are way down tonight. We don't have the exact figures, but basically the murder rate was down, no homicides in 7 days. Robberies were down 22%, assaults down 43%, theft, robbery, things of that nature was down another 30%, assaults were down, murders were definitely down, and folks, and Trump went out tonight, by the way, that video that you just seen, you didn't show you the pizzas. He bought pizzas for all the National Guard that was on patrol today. And he went on patrol with the Border Patrol. Let me download this video for you. And Corey, I'll get to your question in a minute. Folks, I don't mind your questions. Please keep them to sentences, not paragraphs. If you'll just help me out with that, we'll answer any question you got. Just give me in sentences, not paragraphs. Paragraphs just get us all distracted. This is President Trump today. We're about to answer your questions, I promise. Okay. This is President Trump. Look at that's the National Guards. He is shaking hands with them and passing out pizzas.
Well, I just want to thank everybody very much for being here. I wanted to do this. We've had some incredible results. The results have come out, and it's like a different place. It's like a different city. It's the capital. It's going to be the best in the world. We're going to do what you're doing with law enforcement, and very importantly also we're going to physically do it. We're going back to Congress for some money, and we're going to redo a lot of the pavement, a lot of the medians, a lot of the graffiti's all coming off real fast. It's going to come down real fast. We're working with Clark Construction. They're one of the big ones. They're the biggest here by far, actually. And we're going to be not so much building, it's cleaning and fixing and redoing and putting brand new surfaces down on your roads and streets. And when people come in from the airport all the way to the Capitol or the White House or any place else they're going to say, boy, this place is spotless. So we're doing that. Most importantly, though, we're going to have a crowd of people that are going to be happy. And
here's an individual with a no The numbers don't lie.
When the National Guard hit the ground in Washington last week, that city's crime fight went into overdrive. And now we're seeing the impact and the dramatic reductions in crime. When the National Guard rolled into Washington last week, the locals seemed skeptical.
The crime is minimal here. There's not really a lot of crime here. It looks like window dressing to me.
But with the Guard on the ground, crime is on the decline. For the first time in a long time, D.C. has gone 7 days without a homicide. And that's not all. Carjackings are down 83%. Robberies are down 46%. Car thefts down 21%. And overall violent crime is down 22%.
When you have these kind of numbers going down, it basically says this is a success, and that means people feel safer.
Like many big cities, Washington's police department is critically...
Let me stop just for a second, what that lady just said.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. First time tonight. I don't know if Jenny Castellanova's out there, but that's for her. Let me go back and play what that lady said. Man, are people getting common sense in D.C. tonight? We all need to take a moment of silence.
This is a success, and that means people feel safer.
Like
Yes,
many
they do.
big cities, Washington's police department is critically short-staffed.
People who don't feel...
Why is their police department short-staffed? Let me get this out of my way and so I can see my face. Let me ask you this, folks. Why is that police department understaffed? Why? Who does that fall back on to? If Jasmine Crockett's listening tonight, who does that fall back on, Jasmine? Does that fall back on the race baiters? Does that fall back on President Trump? No, he don't run D.C. Does that fall back on the Republicans? No. Your black mayor runs the police department. She's the one that is in charge of the staffing of the police. She's the one that made that situation that way. And I'm not trying to make this a race issue, folks, but they've made it a race issue. And I'm sort of sick of it. I know you all are too. And I think we all are sick of it. It's not about race, folks. It's about the criminal. Did you see those figures? Did you see those figures?
feel safe aren't free.
Sergeant Betsy Smith with the National Police Association says it is ripe for federal help.
More police generally equals less crime.
I cannot believe what she just said.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
More police usually means less crime. Elementary, my dear Watson. But anyway, that's what's happening in D.C. tonight. Now, I'm going to get to your questions. I want to play a couple. By the way, I meant to mention this tonight too. It's sad tonight. Dr. James Dobson, the guy from American Family Association, died today. He was 89. Was that 89? Yeah, he was 89, almost 90 years old today. Rest in peace, Dr. Dawson. Focus on the family. It's what his organization was. And he has gone on. This is a video with Ben Shapiro. I want you to listen to this, folks. Anti-Semitism is alive and well tonight still. Roll the tape.
Why you don't support the citizens of the people living in Gaza and the West Bank? Why you don't support them being able to also live inside of Israel?
Why don't I support them being able to live inside of Israel? Because they would immediately vote to destroy the state of Israel and interpolate another terrorist group like Hamas or the Palestinian Authority, endangering every Jew in the region. Everyone knows this.
I believe the reason why they are religiously extreme is because of the conditions that they live under, because of the actions of America.
That's absurd and foolish. I'm sorry, that's absurd and foolish.
That's not absurd and foolish at all.
Yeah, the reason that's absurd and foolish is because religious fundamentalism in the Islamic world did not begin in the year 1948.
Come on,
to pretend otherwise is to ignore literally all of Middle Eastern history. I mean, the fact of the matter is that since the time of Muhammad, and really since the year about 1100, when moderate Islam was pushed off to the side and the printing press was banned, the Islamic world has been replete with fundamentalism and extremism, repression of women, destruction of religious minorities, or subjugation of religious minorities. All the happy talk about how everybody was living in some sort of utopian paradise where Jews were treated wonderfully is belied by the actual facts on the ground under the Ottoman Empire, under Arab-speaking empires. Again, this idea that religious fundamentalism is driven by the West is honestly, it's so narcissistic on the part of Westerners to believe that the only reason that religious Muslims believe what religious Muslims believe is because of us. I promise you, religious Muslims don't believe what they believe because of you. They believe what they believe because of what they believe. And it's a soft bigotry of low expectations to pretend that radical Muslims don't have opinions of their own and must simply be driven by their lack of material success. That is not how the world works. People don't all think like you. You can keep blaming economics until the cows come home. You know what the solution to that would be, by the way? I have a solution for this. If what you're saying is right, I have a solution for this. Here's the solution. In 2005, Israel withdrew from the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip is an area that is less population dense than both Singapore and Hong Kong. Hundreds of millions, nay, billions of dollars flowed into the Gaza Strip. If people there, and Hamas in particular, really wanted to develop the lives of their citizens and make them better, they could have, and they should. And yet I see very little demand for that. At a certain point, people are going to have to take responsibility for their own actions and stop blaming America and the West for making decisions.
Very good, Ben Shapiro. Folks, that's as well said as you can hear. It's elementary, my dear Watson. And the young lady was just in stunned silence there. Look, I don't blame the kid. You know what I blame for that? I don't blame her. I blame her liberal professors. And probably her parents. And I wouldn't doubt her church. Let me tell you why. I saw this tonight, and I didn't download the video. I think this is a still shot. But there is a group of Christians out there tonight. This is called the Churches. I saw it on Facebook. This is some kind of movement that there's a network of 5,000. I know this is not related to Israel, but it's the same spirit, the exact same ideology. There are 5,000 churches that's launching a rapid response action plan. Are you ready for this? To protect worshipers during ICE raids. I sort of looked at that funny and I said, you got to be kidding. And then I started looking at the comments. And I got to just read you a few of these, just for the humor of it, just as we're on a late night after show. Good to see some folks in the house that's with me in the mornings. And don't make this an excuse not to show up for Bible study in the morning. We're glad you're here tonight. Let me see if I can find this. Do I find the comments? Did I download the comments too? I know I did. I thought I did. Give me 1 second. It won't take me but a minute to download them. Let me find these comments. Because the comments are about as vile as the fact that we got churches that want to protect the illegals that come to their churches from ICE raids. And they're going to protect them from the ICE people, the big bad. Oh, come on, computer, don't do this right now. Hang on 1 second here, folks. Let me, there we go. Now it's back. But this is crazy. You got to listen. I want to just read you just a few of these comments, and I'll try to protect the names that's on here. But this is nutty. This is absolutely nutty. And this is the mentality of the church. And this is why I wonder if this young lady, if she probably heard that stuff about Israel from a pastor. But this is, and I won't name her name, but this is what she says. She says, no one professing the Christian faith should be approving of Trump's immigration raids. We all understand the need for a clear, sustainable, and humane immigration system in this country. Let me explain something to you, Miss whatever your name is. This humane immigration system starts with the fact that people come over here legally. It's not inhumane to deal with people that come here criminally. And again, I'm just an old South Georgia boy with a cowboy hat on tonight. And it's a little late, and McDonald was a late night person. I'm a terrible morning person. My Bible students are finding that I'm actually doing good in the mornings. I'm actually alert, more alert than I normally am in the mornings. I'm doing good in the morning studies. But this is my time of the night, so I'm wired up. But let me explain something to you Christians out there that think it's illegal and inhumane to keep people out of the country that is destroying your land. And just like Ben Shapiro, folks, it's the same principle on the Gaza Strip. And by the way, when she said, why don't Israel let the Palestinians into Israel and they don't come in? Folks, they can come in. That is a downright lie. Because you see, the only, it's not even a wall, it's a fence. And a majority of Arabs from the West Bank work in Jerusalem. They go into Jerusalem. But this is the killer. The Israelis don't know which of those Palestinians that are coming in to work are actually Palestinians that have got suicide bombs strapped to them. And then Gaza Strip has not been in Israel's control for 20 years. So what has Israel gotten out of it basically succeeding and annexing the Gaza Strip to the Arab world? They got October the 7th. They got suicide bombings. They got rockets being fired into the southern part of Israel constantly for 20 years. Same principle. Same principle. What have we gotten for a humane immigration program under Joe Biden? We got nearly 15 million illegals here, and that number may not even be right, folks. There's no telling how many illegals are here. I heard tonight that the federal government is going to look at every visa of 55 million immigrants, whether they're here legally or not, and they should look at them because they're looking at these visas to make sure that these 55 million legal immigrants are supposed to be here, because some of them are not supposed to be here. Some of them have let their visas expire. And look, folks, you can think this is harsh, you can think this is hard, but Ben Shapiro's argument is our argument about this border. Israel don't know what they're bringing, and because they're protecting their country, it's absurd. It is absurd to think it's inhumane to close your border to people that want to destroy you. Well, it's the same thing that this lady's saying. She don't think it's wrong that people come across the border to rape, maim, kill, steal, carjack, DUI, kill people with cars they don't know how to drive. That, by the way, the man that did the U-turn we talked about Tuesday night and killed the 3 Florida pedestrians, he got his driver's license from California. He wasn't a legal citizen. He didn't know how to drive. So he killed 3 people. I wonder if Miss Christian here would think that's humane. But this is the church. This is the American church. And she says that it's long overdue, and both parties have punted that ball back and forth for many years now, and that's what citizens should, in my view, be demanding. Well, no, you're only demanding that Trump stop deporting illegals. You're not wanting a fair immigration system. You don't even know what that looks like. Because the very fact that you think that these illegals should be protected by the church and be here when they're breaking the law lets me know you don't want a fair, humane immigration system. It's a ruse. It's a farce. It's hypocrisy. It's evil. It's wickedness. And then she gives the talking point. Well, we cannot have open borders. No kidding. No kidding. Do I get to play it again? No kidding. But very few question that idea. But to be scooping people up as armed and masked agents of the federal government and shipped out to an unknown, unidentified gulag without due process is unconstitutional and inhumane in the extreme. And I didn't even finish reading it. I see a few laughing emojis at that. And then Mrs. Heather down here, she says, it surely is what Jesus would do. No, he wouldn't, folks. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. Jesus would not be condoning lawlessness. He would tell these illegals, repent, go get in the country right, go back to your country. If you come in here, you don't come into another nation illegally. And by the way, I don't think Jesus would be telling these illegals, come in here and have babies and then get and play the victim card and get on welfare and drain that country that you're coming into of its resources. I don't think Jesus would tell the illegals to kill, murder, rape, steal, and maim. Boy, it's a late night. It's already Friday night. Whoo! I got to get this out of my system because my grandkids are going to see me later today, and they need to see a happy face grandpa. Folks, this is what we're dealing with. And you say, well, that's just harsh, McDonald. Let me read some other comments, folks. This is people. This is how people view this. And I don't mean I'm not trying to deal with who's saying it. It's across the board. She's, let's see here. One of them says, blank this. Let's see. Juan says, boy, you guys love using the church when it suits your purposes. I agree with that. Ronnie, no relation to me, Ronnie McDonald, she's from England. I checked her profile out. Please keep those evil creatures away from your churches. May God bless you all. Glory to God. Amen. She's basically telling the 5,000 churches who are protecting the ICE agents. She believes the ICE agents are the monsters, not the illegals. And I'm not saying the illegals are monsters, folks, but they're not here. They're not here legally. And by the way, this due process argument, you can believe what you want to believe. You can disagree with this. They have no process. They have no rights under a constitution that they're not a citizen of this nation to be protected by. And I know there are arguments on that, and I know people want to play the hospitality card and play the humane card and play this and that and the other. Let me tell you this about the Old Testament, folks. I've heard people argue this. The leader of the Charisma magazine, he put an article out many years ago about this, and they always quote Exodus about because you were a stranger in Egypt, be kind to the stranger. Let me tell you this. The kindest thing you can do to the stranger is make that stranger become a citizen of your nation. Because under the law, folks, they have no protection under the law. And let me tell you about the stranger of the Old Covenant that came into the Commonwealth of Israel. They were required to uphold the law that God had given Moses. If they so choose to be part of the Commonwealth, they had to agree to uphold and adhere to the law of Moses that God had given Israel. And if that stranger did not, that stranger was subject to stoning, just like that Israelite was. See, that's not how it is in our nation tonight. No, we give the illegals the pass. We give the illegals a pass. We tell the illegals, you can come over here and do your thing. These Christians are telling them that. Run to the churches. Did you see Chris Madden's comment? We need to protect these working people, not the bounty hunters. That's just a few of the comments. I couldn't even stomach the rest of them. And another one says, this is just like Jesus would do. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. These are not churches, folks. These are indoctrination halls. These are not churches. And don't throw the 501c3 crap up to me. I'm so sick of hearing about that. Has nothing to do with the 501c3. There are non-501c3 churches doing it. There are Christians, and let me tell you something, there's going to be a lot of 501c, non-501c3 people in hell, just as there will be 501c3 people there. It's not about that. It's about your faith. This has nothing to do with that. This is a spirit of rebellion and a spirit of witchcraft and a spirit of lawlessness that has entered the church of the living God. And it is on people. It's the same argument about this right here. You see, Ben Shapiro tore that argument up in, I think that video was 3 minutes. He said more truth in 3 minutes than you've heard that media, and you've heard pastors, and you've heard prophets, and you've heard other anti-Semites say in 50 years in this country. Nobody would allow this in their land to let people come into your country knowing good and well they were coming in to destroy it, except America. I don't blame Israel one bit. I don't blame Israel one bit for any action that she has done in Gaza. I am so sick of hearing that she's starving people. I'm sick of hearing this genocide. The genocide was Hamas. They perpetrated a genocide. They are starving their people. And if the Palestinians are complaining about conditions in Israel, pack your stuff and go back home. Because, by the way, you're in territory that does not belong to you. It's never belonged to you. You're an illegal alien in the West Bank. I know nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it tonight because this is a late night McFile after show and I'm fired up like a firecracker. Good for you, Ben. Good for you, Ben. Good for you, Ben. I'll leave in myself. Rosemary has nothing to do with their 501c3 status. They'd still be acting like that if they did. That's what I just said. It wouldn't matter if they take the 501c3 status. It ain't going to change your heart, Rosemary. I love you, but it ain't that. I just got that out of my mouth. Has nothing to do with that. Because, see, that's an issue of legality in government. This that I just read to you comes from right here. It comes from right here. It don't matter what's on the title of the church. That's the state, folks, of this nation. That's the spiritual state. And I go back to what I said about the young lady. I don't blame that young lady. That poor young lady all she was doing was repeating stuff that she'd been taught and told by somebody. She wasn't old enough to understand. She probably has never opened a history book. She's probably never looked at any of the history of the Middle East. She probably couldn't even tell you where the Gaza Strip is. Truth be told. Truth be told, she couldn't tell you what the West Bank's about. She couldn't tell you, probably not so sure she couldn't tell you where Israel's at even, on a map. She was taught that. She was indoctrinated. And, Ben was getting a little wired up at her, and I know that seemed harsh, but sometimes you just got to shake a knot in these kids. Sort of like a certain gray-headed host has to do sometimes on my show. Just saying. I'm just saying. Oh, Lord of mercy. I'll leave in myself. I'll leave in myself. Good to see, I thought I saw John Quallam in the house tonight. John, good to see you this late hour. It's about 9 o'clock in the West. All right, I'm done. I'm going to stop talking before I get myself in more trouble. Oh. Corey Aguilar, you asked a question a while ago about is the mayor elected or appointed. She's elected. She's elected. She's elected. And we are fatigued, friend. It's good to see you tonight. Good talking to you today. Bless you, friend. All right, if you got any questions, I'm up. I'm awake. I'm going to be here another 15, 20 minutes. Good to see everybody up with me on this late night. Good to see. Let's see. CJ, I'm going to look at your question. Just remember, buddy, just send it in the sentence form, not these paragraphs. But he says, do you think that most of those in the educational sphere that tend toward the left just believe that parents do not know better than they do? CJ, it is some of that. There's arrogance. It's arrogance. They think they are the parents of the kids. I think it's a good question. It's a great question. CJ, they do. I come up against this when my little one, Caleb, was in second grade over something. I don't want to go into all the details about it. I had to go down there and tell these freaking teachers, you're not his parent. I am. I make these decisions. It's not your call. And there was an insinuation in that conversation in that counseling room that if I didn't do what they told me to do, it was a health issue, that they were going to report me and his mother to CPS because they felt like they knew better. And we had to go get a physician to show them that their stupid doctor at the school was wrong. So I know how these school systems are. And I think you're absolutely right. They think they know better than the parents. And parents, you need to make sure that they don't do that to your kids. Pull them out. Pull them out if you can. Get them in a private school, get them at home school, or do something. Anyway, any other questions? Come on now. I know you got some questions, comments tonight. Chris, I feel the fire on me tonight a little bit. I'm wired awake. Now, I've been talking. It's time for you to talk for me. It's time for you all to talk. Anything you want to talk about we've shared tonight, have at it. Have at it. Make D.C. safe again, Santel. He says the hunters are becoming the hunted. It's time for true accountability. Santel, I hope you're right. It is time for it. I don't know if we're going to get it. I don't know if we're going to get it. I don't know if we're going to get it. But I sure agree with what you're saying. I'm trying to laugh so I don't get fired up again. I was getting a little hot on the collar a while ago. I can feel the temperature rising. So I'm trying to late night calm down. This is the late night cool down. It's late night. I'm giving you a chance to talk. So Chris don't have to talk. Run his mouth. Stick his foot in his mouth. So talk. Tell me what's on your heart out there. Tell me what's on your mind tonight. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Jennifer, thank you. It's good to see you in the house tonight, too. By the way, I do want to give an update on James R. since I'm not getting any questions. And if I don't have any questions in 5 minutes, I'm going to call it a night. This is your turn. James R. had a major stroke. I did get some information in between the shows tonight. The left side of his face is not working. He is up and walking, but he can't speak right now. Not clearly. He's saying some words. They've told him no more vaping. They've told him, what else did they tell him? There was something, certainly smoking, but there was something else, sweets. They told him some other things that he's just going to have to stop if he wants to live. And I got this from his wife. And, he is doing okay. I'm not going to say he's doing well. He's compared to where he was at Tuesday night, he is better. So I was right about that part. He still needs your prayers tonight. He needs your prayers badly. He is. They believe, though, they do believe that this is going to get better over time. They do not believe it's permanent, which is a good report. They just believe that he has had some damage, slight damage on the left side of his face, and so forth. And for those of you that don't know who I'm talking about, this is James R. right here. This is my buddy, and he's my dear friend. I really mean this. He's a precious brother to me right there. And if I told you how me and James met, some of you would stop listening to me. We met on a show one night. It's a long story. You'll have to get me in a private room over a hot dog or hamburger for me to tell you the story. But he's James R. He is what he is, and there's some folks that don't like his roughness around the edges, and that's all right. Chris ain't one of them. It doesn't intimidate me. I love James R. I love him just like he is, and I pray for him every day like he prays for me, and I pray for all of you the same way, and you need to pray for me. We just pray for each other. None of us have arrived yet, and he'll be the first to tell you he ain't arrived. But I do pray that this situation gets better. But he has got some damage on the left side of his face, and he's not having a good run talking. So please pray for him. Please pray for him. And so forth. This is President Trump tonight. Since y'all were not talking, I'll just put a few more memes up. Me and him sort of look alike a little bit there. I need to get me one of these, Jenny Castellanova. I need to get me a meme with that right there with that police officer's outfit. That's what I need to do. I'll try to find one of those,
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. It's elementary, my dear Watson. It is elementary. This is, I was going to show you something else. There was something that I had. But I can't find it. Okay. We are going to do a McJustice show next week, hopefully. We were hoping to do it this week, but I'd forgotten about the kids coming tomorrow. And we were going to do it tomorrow night, so it had to be put off to next week. I know this, that Ricky Wilson would be with us early, and we got a very special guest that we'll announce Monday, late night Monday. We'll have a late night Monday show again. I do have to show y'all this one thing. This is what these police are dealing with, folks, when they go to arrest people. And by the way, since we're talking about the police, all you smarties up in New York City that think Zohar Mandami is going to be the answer to your problems, and you're complaining about the crime, I'll let him say it out of his own words what he plans to do when you put him in office.
When we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence.
So, breaking into a store and shoplifting and busting glass out and killing people and raping people and stealing from people and knifing people and assaulting people, That's just an artificial construct. But Law and Order, the Attorney Generals, that's violence. That's Zilmar Mandami. We're going to talk about this story. Will not go nowhere next week. We'll be on this next week. We'll have other video. But that's what you're voting for in New York City. I hope you're proud of yourself. That's what you're about to get. You're about to get it. You're about to get it. You're about to get it. Wow. Let's see here. There was one other thing I wanted to show you tonight. I downloaded it. Here is Don Jr. This is what I was looking for. You got to love Don Jr. He retweeted. That was 22324. Letitia James tweet. That was a mockery of Trump. 464,576,230.62. That was her brag and boast that she got Trump in 24. Boy, they thought this was going to take Trump down. They thought this was going to destroy his political career. And Trump Jr. today tweeted out, I believe you mean zero. Thank you. Thank you for your attention to this matter. If y'all been noticing President Trump's tweets, he's putting that at the end when he's got something strong to say. That's his new phrase. Thank you for your attention. I'm going to get a t-shirt. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Thank you for the attention to this matter. Thank you for the attention. I thought that was pretty good. That's about the truth of it.
Watson.
She ain't getting no money from him. Anyway. CJ, you asked what city is next? Michelle's asking the same thing. I believe it's going to be between Chicago and LA. I think he's going to hold off New York City. That's my opinion. I don't think he's going to New York, but I believe Chicago is next. Because I think of all the cities in America, Chicago is probably the most violent. To me, I mean, statistics are. I may be wrong. That's just a guess. Y'all are asking me what I believe, where I think he's going. That would be my guess. But L.A. is on his... I think it's... Washington, D.C. was the most crime-ridden in the statistic I saw last night. L.A. was second. New York City third. And Chicago fourth. So if it goes by order, New York City would be the next. But we'll see. I got a feeling that he's sort of going to... I think he's waiting on this mayoral elections to see what he does. I want to just tell Zilmar Mandami something. If he thinks that he's going to stand up to Trump and keep... I mean, Trump can't just bring troops into a city. He's got to have congressional approval. You can't do that. But if he does feel that the federal buildings are threatened by crime, he can put federal officials and federal troops in these buildings and around these buildings. And I firmly believe he's going to do that. But Gavin Newsom's talking a big game out there tonight. He is such a loser. But anyway, that's a question. All right, let's see. Baltimore, David. Yep, I would say Baltimore. That's another one he's probably got his eyes on. Definitely so. Let's see here. A couple of good thoughts over here in Facebook. Chris Davis, a person would think Cracker Barrel would have learned a lesson from Tractor Supply, Target, Bud Light, and many others about going woke. They have not. Chris, they have not. By the way, I don't know if you, some of you may not be aware of the controversy about this. This is, I tried to get the picture. I found this on Babylon Bee. Babylon Bee is a satire site. This is the old Cracker Barrel sign right there. That's Trump. That's Babylon Bee. That's a satirical thing. He's not ordered the Smithsonian to display the exhibit of the old Cracker Barrel logo yet. But somebody, I think it was Cat Turd, and he has got a hilarious Twitter handle, but he posted this. That's the new, that's Sydney Sweeney, by the way, the one that's got all the controversy around her. And again, we're not making fun of the young lady on the bottom, but I'll just take this out just to show you the logo itself. But that's what's coming. They took the man sitting by the barrel out, and a lot of people that are in the know about this believe it's a message. It's several things. Of course, it represents farmers. It represents the working class of America. The man, that's threatening to women. It's threatening to the man haters of the world out there. It's a threatening posture that a man is featured on there. I guess if they had a trans or, some kind of freak on the front, and I don't mean that disrespectfully tonight, I guess it'd be okay. But that is offensive to the world at large. So Cracker Barrel's about to go the way, and I think, Chris, you're right. I think they're about to go the way of Target. They're about to go the way of Bud Light. They're about to go the way of Tractor Supply and other companies. Ask Bed, Bath, and Beyond. What happens when you go woke? You go broke. But that's the controversy about that. Corey Aguilar said, did you see the video where the grandma was mad that her grandson's nails were painted pink? I did not, Corey. If you've got that, send that to me. Send that to me. I'll play it. Dennis Floyd says, am I correct that the appeal court said James asked for too much but did not find Trump innocent? Yes, they did not throw out the case, but the fine they did. I think that he is going to get that overturned, Dennis, at the Supreme Court. Look, and don't be shocked if she takes this to the Supreme Court in New York, because that's where it's going next, because she's appealed it tonight. She's going to take this to the New York Supreme Court, and Trump may not find a so friendly court there. And I just think this all headed to the Supreme Court, and I think the Bragg case is going to be in the same vein. And but they needed to have acquitted him. He did not do anything wrong. Letitia James is going to jail. She is going to jail. She deserves to be in federal prison tonight. She just does. So anyway, let's see here. Chris says, if it gets too bad, do you think they'll fire the CEO? Not a prayer. No, Chris, I don't. Nope, I don't believe they will fire. Joan says, we live in this world, but we're not of it. We need to be friends and associates with everybody that comes our way. Praying for James R. Joan, that is very true. We love everybody. Carol, how can Trump stop mail-in voting? Congress can pass a law that it's illegal. He can pressure Congress to pass a law to stop it. And he can I think there are some DOJ measures that they can take. If they consider it fraud, they can issue directives to stop it. But it's ultimately going to come down to Congress when you get down to it. Congress needs to make this illegal. I don't know if he's going to have the will in Congress to do it, but he can do it. I put it like this. If there's anybody out there that can do it, it'd be Trump. It'd be Trump. It'd be Trump. And I think that's elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
All righty, I'm done. I've said my piece for tonight. 2 shows, and I love it. I love it when we get together on these late night get-togethers, and we pontificate, or however you call it. We run our mouth. It's late. Even John Quallen's getting ready to go to bed. It's almost 10 out west. So it's 1 o'clock in the east. We're going to let you go now. If you enjoyed the show tonight, both shows put some fire in the house. James Akers, thank you. Thank you, Richard Mack. 2 great guests tonight. Did we not have some great guests? Good stuff. And we'll be back in the morning. We'll be on the Bible study, but that will be the only show tomorrow. We will have a Facebook, like a short, because we'll be with the grandkids tomorrow night. And once they go to bed, I'll sort of chime in with you. Hey, I won't be with you tomorrow night. The world will be just as insane and crazy and nutty and evil and wicked and corrupt. I think what I wanted to do to show you tonight is the disrespect that people are showing police officers. And it seems like there's a growing theme. Every video I see of somebody that's about to get arrested, they deny they did the crime. They tell the police, don't touch me. They're on their phone calling somebody. They don't obey the police officer. And then when the police have to show force, then they scream bloody murder. That is That is a common theme in just about every criminal video I've seen and downloaded for the McJustice Show coming up. You're going to see that played out over and over and over and over. Folks, that is lawlessness. Has nothing to do with race, folks. Has nothing to do with race. It's nothing to do with skin color. It has everything to do with the heart color. It has everything to do with the heart color. We need to pray for these folks. We need to pray for each other. We need to pray for our country. God bless you tonight. God bless this great nation of America. I will see you Saturday night. I'll be home, and we'll do a gospel sing for you. I haven't done one of those this month, so I'm looking forward to that. We're going to play a lot of the new music we got out, and some oldies you hadn't heard in a while, and some Southern gospel favorites, and have a good time of faith Saturday night. And if the event, we see something major happening, we'll come on for a short time Saturday, but Saturday's our day off. But we do the faith thing out of just wanting to get together and play music and relax and get away from the world. And a lot of you enjoy that, so come be with us on the faith side. We'll see you Sunday morning, Sunday night. We'll be back at it Monday. Ricky Wilson, our dear friend, World for Jesus Ministries, Monday night. And then we got a special guest I don't want to announce just yet, late Monday, and you will enjoy her as well. Listen, God bless you, God bless your families, and God bless this great nation of America. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you for being with us on the late night special. Take care.